30
Yeah.
people.
Everybody wants to, everybody's, beginning of the year is all, it's like business planning. How am I going to structure my year? What am I going to do? How am I going to grow my business, take it to the next level? So, we thought having someone like you, John, on with us, since you coach so many top agents all over the country, you're doing things at a high level yourself. And, you and I have talked quite a bit about planning and stuff like that. And, we thought, no, there's not a better person to have on that can talk about business planning, and especially being in real estate, as individual business owners, and without like having someone to clock us in or clock us out. I mean, it's really, really important to be able to create a structure and have that self-discipline. So it's
Oh, yeah.
really, really cool to have you on, John, man. Thanks for joining us.
I appreciate it, man. Thanks for those kind words.
Absolutely. So maybe jump in, tell us a little bit about yourself, your background, and then let's get right into it, man.
Sure, man. I was a network engineer during the dot-com. That blew up, and I got into real estate. I think it was 2001, and nobody was really utilizing web pages. They were using static pages, and I came in with dynamic pages, and really blew up from there. And then technology caught up. Zillow didn't exist, Facebook didn't exist, so I had to do business the old-fashioned way, right? And I was killing it with internet leads and networking. And fast forward 17 years to now, or 18 years to now, wherever we are. And along the way, I had the luxury of being at one of the top 5 most profitable market centers, where I was teaching and training. And that's where the More GCI system originally developed. That evolved through some consultations with some very top name people in the industry to develop training, because it's better, in their opinion, because, technology has difficulties, right? And capital changing and everything else like that. So we started to develop the training, and that one thing led to another, and then here we are. And I think the thing that really helps agents, especially agents, newer agents, and you hit the nail on the head, if they got a 9 to 5, they're coming in, they got a predetermined set of tasks, they do the tasks, they punch out, they go home, they get a check, right? We don't have that. So we come in and it's just like, what do I do? Oh, you want to talk about the game last night? Oh, water cooler chat, right? You want anything to be distracted, but that you're not on that hourly or salary anymore. So what you're doing is screwing yourself. So I created a unique set of principles called UPAD, UPAD, understand, plan, action, and discipline. And when you follow these principles, it creates accountability back to your own self-management level, which a lot of agents are missing that management level, but that's where growth happens. That's where understanding happens. That's where planning happens. And when you're able to follow that, then you're able to start to systematically eliminate the distractions, stay focused on your tasks that you need to do, and do them every day. Track the results. If you need to have 10 two-way conversations today and you didn't have them, that's okay. There's tomorrow. Let's move that to tomorrow, and let's keep rolling that forward so we can make up. Because I'm sure you guys see the same thing when somebody says, oh, I didn't reach my goal. If you trace it back to the daily behaviors, you didn't do your daily behaviors, right? Mm-hmm. If you made those if you had those 10 conversations per day, you would be hitting your goal, right?
So I think people on this call are at different levels. I think there's people on this call that are newer. There are people on this call that are more seasoned and are higher level. How can that UPAD, understand, plan, action, discipline, like how does that apply? Let's jump into that.
Let me get a Post-it.
Posted it on the steel case.
Right. So basically, Michael Gerber, who wrote the E-Myth. So it's a parlay on that. That's my Bible, right? Is for business. That's my business Bible. So he says business is the entrepreneur level, the management level, and the technician level, right? So the entrepreneur, we have this lofty goal. I'm going to use $250,000, right? The entrepreneur says, I want to make $250,000 this year. It's up to the manager to understand, right? Oh, okay, I understand you need to make, or we as an organization, as an entity, need to make $250,000. That's going to pay our business partner, the government. That's going to pay our personal bills, our savings, and fund our business, right? And I'll talk about that in a second, about funding our business and how agents are putting all the money in one kettle, and we need to separate that because Microsoft doesn't have all the money going into Bill Gates' account, right? So we understand, okay, you need to make 250. Now you got to make a plan. How you going to do that? So real easy. Let me just use $5,000 commission. If your average commission is 5,000 and you need to make 250, it's simple math. How many sides you need to do, right? And then what you do is you say, okay, if I want to do 250, that's what, 25 transactions at $5,000 each. Who's good with math?
50. I just calculated it.
Okay.
I knew you would ask.
So that's 50 transactions a year. Now, if your number is 100, then and your average commission's 5, then it's 20, right? So that's why it's very unique to your own individual. So your management level understands and now has a plan to say, okay, we need to do 50. What does 50 transactions really relate to? Now, let's take a page out of the MREA, right? Pretty credible book, page 180 and 181, that when you take a look at when you look at the buyer sides and the seller sides, it comes out to this base equation of a 52% conversion rate. Now, everybody's different. This is why you need to know your conversion rate, right? Because if you have an 80% conversion rate, what I'm about to say makes no sense. But we're going to use an average conversion rate. So if I take this, I need to do 50 transactions divided by 0.52, right? That gives me 96 unique and qualified appointments. First appointment only that I need to make. So if I divide that by 52, that says I need 1.8 unique and qualified appointments per week, right? Now, yeah, go ahead.
How did you just come up with that conversion rate? Like, I'm lost on that part.
Page 180 and 181 of the MREA, the way that they have it structured, that 60% of the buyers will go with you, 80% will sell, or what is 80% of buyers, 60 will sell, 60% of sellers, 80 will sell. So basically what we did was turn that into an equation and it came out to 52% conversion rate.
Okay, so that's the Millionaire Real Estate, what is this, Real Estate Agent?
Yeah. Page 180, 181.
That's the book by Gary Keller called The Millionaire Real Estate Agent. So right now for our purposes, we just need to worry about that 1.8 number.
Yeah.
52%, right?
Yeah.
So 52% of your appointments will convert.
Correct. So if I need 50, that means I need to go on 96.
Okay.
Right. So now when I come in on Monday, my only worry on Monday isn't all this other noise. It's all right. How am I going to get my 1.8? And that's where follow up through your CRMs and everything are going to become important. That's where following up with your Sphere and your past clients and your Power Circle members. Where am I going to get this? What ad am I going to run and try to convert? Right. I have to get 1.8 unique and qualified appointments at 5,000 if that's my number to get that. So this big number is removed. This is my focus, 1.8, right?
Mm-hmm.
So now what happens is, all right, I got to get 1.8 unique and qualified appointments. Let's just break that down a little crazy, right? So 1.8 times 30, which is about 30 contacts to get, the sale or whatnot. That's 55 unique and qualified conversations that you need to be having per week, right? Anyway, between that's mainly for warm. But if you can have 55 conversations let me do it by cold, 1.8 times 90 to 162 conversations per week, right? Now, of course, cold is more, warm is less. But if I divide 162 divided by 5, that's 32. If I take the 55 divided by 5, that's 11. So now here's the magic, right? I have the plan. I have to have 11 two-way conversations per day about real estate with warm kind of nurtured or Sphere. I have to have 32 with cold kind of contacts in order to get that. That now becomes the plan. That's the plan. Now we need to put it into action. And this is the problem. We need to just do it.
Question. I want to ask everyone that's watching, because there was a lot of numbers thrown out right there. If anyone does not get that, because like even me, I'm watching this, I'm like, I'm not the greatest numbers guy.
Yeah.
Admittedly. So if you guys have questions, ask the questions here so that we can ask John while we have them.
And we will have this recording available too. So
we do have a recording available, and I want to ask you real quick, John. Going back to that screen, let's see if I can pull you up real quick. Wait, I'm trying to open your screen up. Can you just say something?
Hi.
Oh, there we go. You just showed up. So we need to worry about what's the 32 and the 11 on the right-hand side?
Two-way conversations, contacts.
Got it. So the 11 conversations a day,
Mhm.
that's with warm people you're talking about.
Yep.
Is that new people every day?
If they, just 11 warm conversations, two-way conversations about real estate with people you've been nurturing, people you know, past clients, Power Circle members, networking members.
But here's my question. So let's say I talk to 11 people today, right?
Two-way conversations.
11 two-way conversations today.
Mhm.
What if I talk to the same 11 people tomorrow? Does that count?
No,
I have to talk to 11 new people tomorrow.
correct.
Got
Yeah.
it.
Usually it resets about on a quarterly type basis, right?
And then on the 32, when you're saying cold, somebody said, is that cold conversations per day? That's an answer. The answer to that is yes.
Yeah, so that's circle dialing.
So that's just random cold calls to people that are in your database or whoever, right?
Yeah. Yep.
And that's a conversation.
That's a conversation. Hey, did you know that 123 Main Street listed? Hey, notice that your property's no longer on the market. Are you still looking to sell? Right? Those
If
are
they
cold.
hang up on you, that's still a conversation.
If they peeped back at me, I'm going to take it as a conversation. If they yell at me, yeah, you know.
Got it. Okay.
So
So
basically,
we could even call it contacts.
correct.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Any communication. Got it. And then 11 would be like, hey, Sunit, how are you? You know, do you want to talk about maybe buying or selling a home? And then Sunit's like, yes, great. All right, next week meet up or whatever. Talk to me in a month. Is that a warm conversation?
Yes.
Are a past client, are a hot lead you've been showing houses to, are a nurture of a lead that came in 6 months ago that you're following up with.
Perfect. I just want to get that clear, and there's a couple questions on that. So thanks.
So
And
now you put it into action, right? And you're making your contacts, you're following up with your sphere, you're following up with your database, everything else like that. You're putting it into action. You know what you need to do it. But the hardest one of all, we all suffer from this, all 1.10 billion real estate agents, is discipline, right? The discipline to do it, the discipline to track it, because let's face it, calling on the phone kind of stinks, right? It's just not the most fun activity, right? And there's a lot of downtime and boredom and, you know, clicking through, oops, what, I can't say that last name, you know what I mean? So the discipline to actually do the work, what happens though, is when you're in action and you're having the discipline, it creates accountability back to your own management level. That person that when you're punching the clock or selling cars, that person that's holding you accountable, that person that's creating the tasks, right? Because when I punch in, I got a predetermined set of tasks I need to do. I do them, I punch out, I get paid at the end of the week, right? So this is just a way for you to understand, okay, wow, I never realized I need to execute at the management level and what they do, because nobody really talks about business management in our industry.
Nobody talks about what to do.
Yeah.
Everything you just broke down.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's people on this call right now. I'm getting text messages. They're like, wow, I needed this. So here's my thing is the action and discipline part. Okay. You went over the numbers. You need to hit 1.8. You need to do 11 warm conversations, 32 cold conversations. That part's clear to me. Okay. So the action part, here's why I have a question on. How much time does that usually take? Like if I'm an agent, we always talk about the daily schedule. And frankly, there's a lot of bullshit daily schedule planners out there.
Yeah.
All right. And then they're hard to follow. One of them's like, go to the gym at 6 a.m., do this. Like no one's going to, like I have kids, dude. I'm not going to go to the gym at 6, like do the things that your lifestyle allows me to do on your planner. Right.
I have kids and I go to the gym at 5:45. Just saying.
You're a machine though, dude. You're
Just
something
saying.
else. So my thing is like, how many hours does it take? Like, what do I have to do to get those 11 calls? Is that like, what does that look like?
Well, bro, this is what I would say is on average, we got 8 hours in a work day. In theory, somebody created that, right? I know everybody here works more than that, and that's just the way that it is. And we don't work 5 days, we work whatever. If you're not time blocking 2 hours a day to do these activities, to lead generate, then you're cheating yourself. Because the phone's not just going to ring. You know, you got to go through, 40, 50, 60, 100 internet leads to get the one, right? So unless you're spending a whole crap load of money on some form of online strategy, then you're not going to get the numbers that you need, right? And most people aren't. spending that kind of money, right? The top producers are. So you got to sit down. You can invest two things, time or money. So if you don't have the money to invest into lead generation systems and automation and everything, then you need to invest time. So the newer agents need to invest time. Again, they didn't have Zillow. They didn't have Facebook when I started, when I was a kid, right? They had networking, right? They had cold calling. They had farming, door knocking. So we had to go do this the hard way, right? So in the beginning, there were no special systems or lead generation systems to invest in. So we had to invest time, right? Same thing now.
Even if you have all the leads and all the systems in the world, if you aren't doing this, you are selling yourself short.
100%.
That's the truth too. Like, you still got to hit your contacts.
Yeah. And here's the thing, we're businesses, right? And it doesn't matter whether we sell houses, cupcakes, or pizza. We need to know how many we need to sell every single day, week, month, year, quarter. We need to be able to account for where we're spending and what our ROI is. We need to know what our profit margins are. And these are things, so many agents I talk to, they don't even know what their net cost per sale is, right? I got a fixed net cost per sale. Everybody gets professional photos, staging, this, that, this amount of advertising. So I know every time I sell a house, it's going to cost me $500, $600, $700, $800, $1,000, right?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of agents don't even know that. They get the listing, they're so excited.
What I like about this is as an agent, I know I need to do 11 warm calls, 32 cold calls. Like, that's an easy thing to think
If you want to do 50 deals.
if you want to do 50 deals. So if I want to do 100 deals, I need to double that.
Mm-hmm.
If I want to do 75 deals, I need to whatever, right? So that's really good. And you say 2 hours a day should get that? I mean, that seems low to me.
If you have a dialer, you should be able to bang out a bunch of phone calls. I follow this thing that we use just as a base matrix in most of my training and coaching programs. I call it the 5-5-5-10 rule. And if you follow the 5-5-5-10 rule, then basically what you're doing is calling 5 past clients per day or sphere. How long is that going to take you? A half hour?
Maybe. Right.
You're adding 5 new people per week. Right? New people that you're meeting, they could be a cold lead that you're starting to talk to and convert with. That's 1 per day. And you're sending out 5 handwritten postcards every single day. And you have 10 two-way conversations every single day about real estate. If you're brand new, you follow that. You don't have any past clients because you're brand new, but you got sphere of influence. You're building power circle, these people that you know. So if you can have 5 conversations with people you know, 5 new meets per week, 1 per day, 5 handwritten note cards to the people that you're talking to or you're meeting, and then 10 two-way conversations per day, every single day. Consistency, which is a dirty word in our business, right? Consistently do that every single day. You do the math, times that by 52, times 5 times 52. That's a lot of conversations and contacts happening.
That's true. That's a really good point. And I remember I had a coach growing up. He told me the difference between a professional and an amateur is consistency. Like, long term, if you're doing that every single day, you're a pro. You're a consistency. You're being consistent. And number 2 is, a lot of agents. I was talking to someone about this yesterday. A lot of agents have what I call mediocre agent syndrome, which is they do a couple deals. They're on fire. They do the 5-5-5-10 rule for like a week or month or whatever. They do really great. They close like 4 or 5 transactions and then put off the gas. I'm chilling. I'm going on vacation.
They lose their hunger, bro. They don't lose their motivation because they got a little money in their account.
So the difference is the agents that are doing it at an extremely high level, they maintain the intensity over the course of time, which is exactly what you're talking about, John.
Let me give you a little mindset shift. Many people have a monetary goal, and it's the money that drives them. However, if you're able to take benefits where you can improve your family, I'm going to put my daughter through college with no debt. My son's going to do this. I'm going to buy a new lake house. I want a new boat, right? When you can start to make those things the goal and money as the catalyst, then you no longer have that up and down inconsistency, because money's not the thing that drives you. Yeah, you might see $20, $30, $50,000 in the bank, but all these things over here are through 2, 3, 4, 500,000, right? So I don't have my daughter through college yet, debt free. Well, I'm still driving. right? I don't have my son's plumbing business started. I'm still driving. I don't have my new lake house or boat. I'm still driving, right? So a lot of people will wrap their head around that because we're through sociology, we're born with financial blueprints in our head. So if we grew up in like a $50,000 a year blue collar, construction worker or factory worker type environment, we have this financial blueprint that, oh wow, I made 75,000 in gross commission income, and I did better than my father did, right? Well, you didn't really make 75, and your father kept getting a paycheck each week because he kept showing up. And what happens is they hit that number, and then they take their foot off the gas because money's the driver for them.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
That's a really good point. Really nicely said, man.
Yeah, make things, make events, make those items the driver, make money the catalyst that fuels those. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Because here's the deal: if we don't sell a house, we don't get paid. Right? We can show up and we can be at the office for 40 hours this week, but if we didn't take proactive steps to move the needle, we're not going to have the results we desire.
Yeah. So there's always the need for effort. And if it's not you, and we can talk about this on another call, it starts as an individual. And then if you want to grow and maybe put in less time doing these particular things that you're talking about, then you can start expanding and bringing other people on and doing that kind of thing. But that's something we can talk about later on another call.
Oh, sure. That's a total growth. I was saying it yesterday to somebody. The less I work, the more I make. And figure that one out, right? So if you look at a pyramid, right, the people at the top, the CEO is working less than the guy downstairs, right? But the decisions he's making, he might only be making 1 or 2 decisions a day, where that mailroom clerk's got to make hundreds of little decisions. He's making 1 or 2 big decisions, yet he's getting paid more than the whole company combined.
Right? We need to get there first.
We got to be the mailroom clerk first.
Yeah.
One thing I really want to touch on, which I think is another thing that's definitely just not discussed in our industry, and I think this is what I'm about to show you. That was failure point number 1. This is failure point number 2. But this is the one that really jams you up, because you get into the business, you suck, you get out because it's costing all this money and everything else. Like now, all of a sudden, heck, you owe the IRS money. You're 20 grand in debt on the with credit card payments and stuff, because people aren't following this little thing. And it's funny. I've been teaching this for years, and it parallels with Grant Cardone's teaching. So it's going to sound a little Grant Cardone-ish, but man, the guy's got millions of dollars in a jet plane. So I'll take his advice. Right? You get that $10,000 RIP. We all know it's not all ours, right? We didn't just get net $10,000. So I get a commission check for $10,000. That goes into my business account. Now I have to allow, and Regina was great. She suggested a book to me called Profit First from Michael Michalowicz. And I think everybody should read that book. I get a $10,000 commission check. Well, we got to pay our taxes, so let's just say 25% for easy math, which is $2,500, which needs to be taken out of that account. We don't want to sit on it. We want to put it into a tax sub-savings account. We got to fund our business. Let's say it's 20%, because y'all know, you see, YLOPO ain't going to let you keep rolling if you ain't paying, right? So you got to make sure that they're getting paid and that all your other systems are getting paid, or they're just going to shut you off. They might let you go 14 days, maybe even 30, but no more. So 20% stays in your business account. So that's 2,000, right? So now you need to have, I really suggest that everybody has a savings goal. So I take this percent, I put it into my account. And when that account hits 3 months, I take it out and I put it into a mutual fund. Now money's working for me, right? So I take 10%, I'm just going to use 10%. So $1,000. What are we left with? 2, 4, 5, 5,500. So I get the remainder, which is 4,500. Right? So my 10,000, is that right? 45, 55, 4,500. Right? So I really got 4,500. So now let's look at goal planning a little different. If this is your average and 4,500 is what you normally take, and you want to make $100,000 net, right? 100,000 divided by 4,500. You need to do 22 sales, right? Real simple. What's 250 of, let's do this way too. 250, 1, 2, 3 times 0.5, that's 125. So when you're looking at it this way, it gives you a different way to, and that number comes out almost exact to the way that I originally did it, right? I use 10 here versus 5, right?
Yeah.
10,000 as the gross commission because that was the gross commission goal. 4,500 divided by 100,000 because that's your net. Actually, it was 125. Comes out almost exact to the other way that I did it. And in science, if you can prove it multiple ways, it's fact, right? So when you start looking at your $10,000 commissions as 4,500 or 5,000, all of a sudden everything changes. I mean, I'm not even saying slightly changes. It's a paradigm shift. So at the end of the quarter, you got money to pay the IRS, or the end of the year, you got money to pay the IRS. You have 24,000 in your business account. That's good for an intermediate agent to have their systems being paid for. And heck, you can give yourself a bonus or leverage a VA or something. You have 1,000. So if we're doing 50 transactions, you got $50,000 being saved, right? And then you're living off of that 4,500. Financial literacy and discipline is a killer of agents because many just put it into one account.
Yeah.
We hear about it every single day, man.
Every day.
Seen it happen to the best of them, right? So,
been there, done that. You know
yeah,
what I
me
mean?
too. Right. That was my first year in a 1099 gig, right? I screwed myself. So, make sure you have money for taxes, guys.
Oh yeah, I got divorced.
Big thing.
I got divorced in 2007, and I had one of my best years ever in 2006. And all of a sudden, I'm like, I got this whole new system of bills I have to pay called alimony and child support, and I got a nice tax bill from the IRS for $50,000. I was just like, what? Right? And then the market tanked.
Yeah. Save, guys. Save.
Yeah. So managing money.
I think it's huge. I think it's something that needs to be more talked about because, again, if you have a 9-to-5 or a salaried job and you're getting your $895 per week, they've already taken out all your taxes. You can spend every penny of that knowing that in 2 weeks I got another $895, right? Or another week I get $895. We don't have that. We don't have that. A lot of agents get that money in and they're playing catch up because they came into the business underfunded because, now I'm going to say this, it's an industry problem. And the schools are to blame, and NAR is to blame, and everybody's to blame because they're selling you the dream, but they're not giving you the clear understanding of what it takes to accomplish that dream. So many people get their license and they're like, oh, I got to pay $1,000 to the boards and to my association and to this and to MLS and to my franchise or whatever it might be. They don't have the $1,000. They spent it all on taking the class and taking the test, right? And y'all know you get into the business. It's not as simple as like a car salesman. You put me on the lot, I'm going to get a couple. Those couple don't exist. Those people coming, you're going to create those people. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they get into the business underfunded. It's going to take 3 months to get paid. You got to have that capital reserve. And if a business doesn't have a capital reserve, then it ceases to exist.
And to get to that problem, you need to have the income. And to get to the income, you need to get back to what you talked about in the beginning, which is taking the action.
Exactly. Way to bring it back, Kevin. Yeah, absolutely.
Can you just go over the 5-5-5-10 thing one more time? I'm going to post it. I'm going to just put it on here real quick.
Sure. Real simple. 5 calls to people you know. Sphere of influence, past clients, power circle. 5 new meets per week, 1 per day that you're adding to your database. 5 handwritten note cards to people that you talked to or met. And 10 two-way conversations per day. Every day about real estate. What does that break down to? Let's take a look. I love Post-its. So if we did 5 times 5 times 52 and 10 times 5 times 52, math was not my strong subject. Let me see what we got. 5 times 5 times 52 is 1,300. And if we do, well, times 10, so that would be 2,600. If you have 1,300 conversations with people that sort of kind of like you and trust you, and do you think if you have 2,600 two-way conversations per year about real estate, you might get a couple sales out of it? Right?
Yeah.
So we're taking this big number and breaking it down to every single day. 5 phone calls to people you know, like, if you can't do that, get out of the business. I'm gonna be a jerk and say that. If you can't call 5 people you know that like you and trust you per day, might not be the right gig.
So what
right?
do you say in that conversation? Are you talking about real estate, or are you just calling and say hi? Like, what do you do?
All depends on who you're calling, right? So if it's like a sphere of influence person, I'm going to lead the conversation with just, hey, Kevin, John, how are you? How's things? Yeah, I'm going to use this for this time of year. How was the New Year's, man? You got any resolutions, any goals this year? Yeah, I'm just going to have that simple conversation. Hey, by the way, do you know during the year, if you know of anybody that's looking to buy or sell, do you think you could do me a favor and either let me know or give them my name and number? Awesome. And then I'm going to follow up with a couple cards in there and say, here's a card for your friend, right? If it's somebody that maybe is in my nurture database, I'm going to say, hey, Suneet, it's John. How are you? Hey, I just wanted to check. I know that we're talking in November, December about getting a home in the coming year. Just wanted to check in with you. What's your plan?
Yeah.
You
So
know?
one thing I always say is, and this is not like anything new, but 80% of what we do in real estate is just showing up and like actually taking the steps.
Sure.
So if you do what you're saying, and even if you did it 80% of the time, you would be successful.
Yeah. I mean,
Right.
just show up.
The reality is,
right?
the reality is the majority of people don't do that every day. And it's because of the freedoms that we think we have as agents, because there's nobody telling us what to do, that,
Accountability.
you know what, I can take the day off today. I mean, I closed a $20,000 deal yesterday. I'm good. Well, then that ends up putting you behind. If you have to do 11 a day to get to 250,000, you have to do 32 cold a day. So what happens if you take 2 days off? You're behind now by 60, by 90, and then it just starts to build and build and build. And then next thing you know, you're not where you want to be. And you're just like straggling, you're chasing deals, and you're like, you're taking a gamble. You're hoping on that referral to come through off of your network that you have 2 people that you're supposed to deal with next week. Like, it's just less predictability. And that's why Suneet's like crushing it too, is because like you've only been in business like 4 or 5 years, and now, have a company and all these other big things you're doing. You just follow the systems, man.
That's it.
Stay hungry, right? Me and Kevin talk about this all the time, is no matter what level you're at, brokerage owner, team owner, coach, new agent, the second you stop being hungry, you're shooting yourself in the foot. Is that right, John?
Yeah. Shoot yourself in the foot.
Okay.
We have a couple questions here. What can you recommend for someone entering into a brand new market?
What would I suggest for somebody to enter into a brand new market? I'm glad you asked.
Uh-oh.
Bringing out the props.
So, love these post-its. I go through a pad a week. Anyways, so all leads can be broken down to one of 4 categories, right? And I call this the lead generation quadrant. I like quadrants. John Maxwell. Over here are active activities. Over here are passive activities. Okay. So if you're brand new in a brand new market, you have to define what is your calling strategy. Are you going to circle dial, call FSBOs? Are you going to call expireds, right? And how much time are you going to give to that? 2 hours a day, right? I think if you planted me in the middle of, I don't know, Idaho, and I had to make money, how are you going to make money? You got to talk to people, right? Either belly to belly or on the phone. That's really the 2 ways. So what's my calling strategy? So we'll give that a big C. Well, over here, what's my networking strategy? Right? Give that a big N. What am I going to, I'm going to look around. I'm going to say, all right, are there any Kiwanis that I can join? Are there any Rotaries that I can join? Where's the Chamber of Commerce? Are there any BNIs I can get involved in? Because again, it's all about conversations, actually doing something, right? So I'm going to look at my networking, not abilities, but network opportunities that exist. And I'm going to go and have the call. Yeah, it's uncomfortable. But being broken is pretty uncomfortable too. It actually sucks, right? So you got to get comfortable being uncomfortable. We've heard that saying 1,000 times. This is what they're talking about. You got to go have those conversations. Then over here on the passive side, you have online. And the passive side is you know, or the online stuff is Facebook. And Facebook, we can talk about all day long about a strategy. Are you going to do ads? You're going to have a business page. You're going to have community pages. What is your involvement? How are you going to get engagement, right? Those types of things. I would land in the middle of Idaho, and let's say I'm in Boise. I would start a community page called Boise Living, right? Or Boise, Idaho Life. And I would get a domain that redirects to my Facebook page as well. And now I'm all of a sudden going to stop putting events that I'm finding on Facebook. Real simple to do. And I'm going to stop putting items of value and interviewing restaurant owners. And remember Nick, about a year and a half ago, did that video on a bagel shop or a bakery that he really loved. And the owner a couple months later said, hey, you're the guy that did that video. Thank you. You know, that type of stuff. But you get them involved, give a $25 giveaway, and you get all that engagement. You all of a sudden have 8,000, 10,000, 15,000 video views. And here's the beauty. You guys know it. And I'll give it to you, everybody else as well. You can then create an audience based upon video watches, right? Retargeting with now real estate stuff. So I'd have a community page and I'd really be hitting that hard because at the end of the day, you have nothing but time.
And
right?
a lot of this stuff is so low cost that anybody could totally do it.
Yeah, low cost. And then you have your traditional stuff, which I don't do much of. And that is stuff like door knocking. That's stuff like identifying a farm and mailing and billboards and print advertisement and everything. So I would really look at this and say, okay, I'm going to dedicate 2 hours a day to calling. The whole reason you're online is to get the people offline so you can start to have conversations with them. And also when you're networking with these people and they see you giving back to the community and giving out all sorts of events, this right here is a winner. So I would do this right here, and then I would call for 2 hours a day. That's what I would do. That's what I do.
Yeah. That's
Yeah,
great.
this is, I mean,
So good. So good. And you know, well, there's one other question, but I want to just say one thing, like everyone that's on this call, at the end of this, we're going to all get off of this call. We're going to be all alone, back to what we were doing. And the difference between someone who's going to, you know, take it to another level and someone who's not and keep doing the same exact things will be those that implement what we're talking about, at least implement some of the things that we're talking about.
Yeah.
So I would just challenge everyone that's on this call to take something from it and put it into action. The thing that you mentioned in the beginning, to me, that's my biggest takeaway from today. Like, just have a couple things that I have to focus on every day. All I have to do is get 11 warm calls. I need to get 32 cold calls every day. That's it. That's all I need. That's all I'm going to worry about every day. That once I get that, I'm good.
I agree.
To me, that is incredibly powerful. It's simplified. It's not, I mean, it's work, but I know my goal at the end of the day.
That's it. And if you hit your goal, if you know you need 2 appointments per week, 11 conversations a day, everybody has a unique number. You hit that by noon, by all means, go get a massage. You hit your goal.
Fair. That's fair.
No, if you want to really turn it up, I think everybody undersets their goals. I think if you reach your goal, you set it too low. I don't think anybody should ever reach their goal unless their goal is ridiculous. You want to sell 30 homes a year, set it to 40.
10x it, 300 it, right?
Right? Exactly. Set your goal higher than what's attainable. You don't want to set something that, and here's the thing, you got to remove the attachment or the expectation. So if you come into this and you set your goal from 30 to 40, but you didn't hit the 40 because you bumped it up, you got to remove that expectation because there is no disappointment if there's no expectation. You just say, wow, I did 32. Let me ask you, what would 2 extra transactions do to anybody for their family life? That's vacation.
Mm-hmm.
Here's my vacation. All right.
So John, we went over. This has been really good. Sunit, would you agree, man? This has been a really good call.
Dude, John, I mean, always bringing the heat, man. I mean, we need to do it with John way more often.
Yeah. So John, speaking of, you know, mentorship, guidance, coaching, what have you, you have a company, you have, you know, this is not what this is about, but I want you to tell us, you know, how we can reach you if you want more information on what you have to offer. Like, what do we have to do? You know, if someone's on this call that want to talk to you further, you know, talk with you about your services, like, how do we do that?
Sure, man. I appreciate that plug. So basically, I started out with More GCI. That was just a software tracker, which we developed into ultimately finding my passion, which is the training and the teaching, and that's the GCI Academy. And we have basically what I do is I'm from the ground, I'm from the trenches. So I know the pain points that agents are feeling. I know the mindset, I know the psychology that you're going through. So when I build my training courses or my power planner or the 8-week boot camp or any of that stuff, it's from pain points, right? I get it. I've been there. You know, next week we launched the 8 weeks to greatness, and it's going to be a really intensive. This is like 1% of what we're going to cover. Right. And by the time you come out of it, you're gonna be want to open up your own franchise, starting your own franchise, because we're going to remove any kind of limiting beliefs that you have and get into the mindset of what makes you tick. We're going to get into defining what your strategy is, because we're all good at something, right? Sunit might be great at internet leads. Kevin, you might be great at network, and I might be great at like online profiles and things like that, right? We're all good at something. So my goal is to find out what you're good at and exploit that, right? Because we're not all the same. We're all different.
So how do we get a hold of you? What do we do?
You can go to gciacademy.com. You can hit me up on Facebook. You can go to More GCI and put an inquiry in. You can email me, johnm@moregci.com. Find me on my business page or Insta at Johnny Mo Training. I'm out there. You'll find me.
Yeah, he ain't hard to find. Go to Lab Coat Agents, type his name in, you'll see 100 posts a day. Yeah.
Awesome.
And that's it, man. Everybody's wired different. And my goal at the end of whatever I'm doing is to help agents understand that they own a business. How are you going to structure it? Not LLC or S Corp. How are you going to get your business and your leads and utilize and leverage and everything else like that to reduce the failure rate and to bring awareness that you are a business owner and you have financial literacy and financial discipline that comes with that.
That's so great, dude. That was a money quote right there, John. Well done.
If we
And
have a-
real quick, everybody on this call, you guys are taking the right steps, right? I mean, the only way that any of us have learned anything is by being in masterminds and conferences and all this stuff. So commend yourselves for being on here and learning from somebody so smart as Mr. Johnny Mo.
Yes, really great. Awesome.
And I would just leave everybody with this, man. Be careful who you take your advice from. Everybody that's here, Sunit, Kevin, me, we've all done it. Do you want to listen to us and even everybody in Lab Coats, all the admins and moderators? They've done it. They're doing it. Or do you want to take advice from that water cooler chat person to say, oh, that's never going to work, right? Be very careful who you subscribe your mental to, right? Because that's going to feed and subscribe you. So.
Good advice. Right on. With that, thank you, John. Thank you so much, you guys. Everyone that was on this call, thank you guys for being on. Sunit, really good stuff, man. Thank you guys so much. Have a
All
great
right, everybody.
Happy selling,
See
everybody.
you next week.